Walton Bay, a novel based in the area of Kingston, Ontario in the late 1800s. This story was inspired from the desire to see Canada return to its simple roots after seeing such division during the pandemic in recent years. Available now on Amazon, this book will help fund our efforts here at Momentum Canada, since we are not government funded. Rather than just ask for money, I wanted to give you something wholesome for you to enjoy as well. So place your order today and enjoy a great story for such a time as this. All right, how's it going, everybody? Brandon McCaskill here with Momentum Canada. I hope you're having a good start to your week. Welcome to the segment of my channel called Momentum Monday, where we take the latest and the greatest and we just talk about it. Whatever happened in the last week, let's have a conversation about it. What did you guys learn? What did you guys take from it? And there's always something to talk about. Certainly is, and there's no shortage of things we can be talking about. So I picked three things today. I'm going to be talking about the federal workers strike, CBC Label, and Convoy protester news, which I'm pretty excited to share that with you guys. So before we get started, if you guys are in the chat, just say hello. Make sure you say hello. And if you want, let me know where you're listening from. Mike is here. He says, I'm only here if you are face blue smiling. See how blue I can get. Good to see you, Mike. Yeah, I'm in a good mood today. I have a lot going on, and I like to stay busy. I always say it keeps me young. Even though I'm getting old, I just had a birthday on Friday. I turned 32 years old, feeling older than ever. But I had a great birthday weekend celebrating it with my son and my wife. So that was a really, really great time to be with family. So anyways, let's get into the video. Today, we're going to be talking about, like I said, federal workers strike. That's the first thing I want to talk about today. So I have a couple of articles that I want to bring up to kind of give us a download, some context, and then we can talk about it. So like I said, just make sure you are saying hey in the chat, have a conversation, bring up things. If you want me to bring them up and talk about them, get my opinion on them, I'm happy to do that as well. I don't know everything. I learn from you guys. So that's how this stream rolls. So give me a second while I share my screen with you kind folks. All right. So I want this one. Yes. Okay. Right on. Let me know if you guys can see this. Oh, yeah, you can. You can. Right on. All right. So let's go to CBC. We're going to be talking about them later, but they're talking about this strike. So this is the title of their opinion piece on this. So no deal yet on public service strike as union, government trade accusations of foot dragging. Treasury Board says there is no time for stalling and misinformation from PSAC. Dear. The union representing tens of thousands of federal public servants currently off the job say its strike will continue as it accused the federal government of incompetence and delays during negotiations. But in a statement on Saturday afternoon, Treasury Board President Mona Fortier's, I think that's how you say it, officials struck back at the union, saying its leadership was being inflexible when it came to negotiations and was responsible for delays of its own. It called on the Public Service Alliance of Canada, PSAC, to bargain in good faith. Sounds like a lot of drama. Holy moly. We are not here to play games. We are here to get a deal. Our employees and the public they serve both. I can't read this morning. Our employees and the public they serve expect both parties to work hard at the bargaining table. There is no time nor tolerance for stalling and misinformation, the government statement said. Is that a typo, or am I just reading that wrong? Serve expect? Do better, CBC. Anyways, what do you guys think of this? To me, just kind of the 10,000-foot view of this, I really think if the federal government is putting up a stink of the incompetence and foot dragging of the federal government, that must be painting a huge stain on Trudeau's legacy. It must just be keeping him up at night. Do you guys agree with that? Firefly says, hey, how's it going? Thanks for joining the shenanigans locally. There's some exciting stuff happening locally. It gets my blood circulating. I enjoy stuff like that. Um, Mike Mull says, one of the ladies I do rallies with is a federal worker who was non-compliant and is now on strike. She couldn't force herself to do strike duties since the unions are so hopeless. Yes, you, sir, yourself are a union. Well, I guess you were, but you're one of those people that, yeah, you're a. I hope you download your perspective extensively today, Mr. Mike Mole. All right, so that was CBC. Let me continue to share my screen here. I'll close that. We're done with that. And this is from Reuters. Canada's striking federal workers call on Trudeau to speed up contract talks. I believe this was posted yesterday, by the way. So April 22, yeah. It's the 24th today, actually. A union representing some 155,000. That's huge. Striking Canadian public workers called on Saturday for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to speed up negotiations over a deal for higher wages and work from home guarantees. So apparently it's not just over like higher wages is what they're saying. There's this aspect of working from home. I learned that this morning, which is interesting. A wide range of public services from tax returns to passport renewals have been affected, which I'm going to be looking at in just a second here. When about 120,000 workers under the Treasury Board and over 35,000 revenue agency workers represented by Public Service Alliance of Canada, PSAC union went on strike. All right, so PSAC President Chris Aylward, I don't know who that is, told reporters the strike would continue until a fair deal has been agreed. He said the union has been waiting for the federal government's response to its proposal made on Thursday and that the union's bargaining teams were fed up of waiting. Get on it, Justin Trudeau. Get on it. And he mentioned the services that are affected. Let me bring that up. I think I had a list of them here. So I got to zoom in. Agriculture and Agri-Foods Canada, Canadian Revenue Agency, Canadian Heritage, Fisheries and Oceans Canada, and the Canadian Coast Guard. See, to me, that sounds pretty dangerous. If those guys aren't working, the Canadian Coast Guard, if you're out in your boat and you're starting drowning, nobody's going to come save you? Golly. Canadian Transportation Agency, Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada, Employment and Social Development Canada. Okay, there we go. Global Affairs Canada, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, Indigenous Services Canada. This is how serious this is, guys. Like, this isn't just this. I mean, this is putting CUPE to shame. I think with that last protest that we heard about with the teachers union. What was that? The teachers. What do you call that? The people that do like the white collar type of stuff, secretaries and social workers type of stuff like that. Public Services and Procurement Canada. Did I already read Library and Archives Canada? Yikes. Royal Canadian Mounted Police. It includes them. Transport Canada. Veterans Affairs Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big deal. This is a big deal, and I wonder how we're going to feel. I wonder how we're going to feel the effects of this. Are we going to hear like a lot of terrible things happening as a result? I hope not. I certainly hope not. But this is just a giant, in my opinion, a giant black eye to Justin Trudeau. And like the fact that he's dragging his feet on this. Yikesies. Firefly says, I'm so behind in the news. Do we want government to intervene? Won't it try to take over like he did with healthcare? Good question. Good question. Yeah. Well, yeah. It is a really good question. Let me read that again. I'm so behind the news. Do we want government to intervene? Well, like I said, they're after the higher wages. Like everybody's feeling this unfair wage with inflation. Like this cost of living is skyrocketing, and they want to rise with the inflation. And I was talking to my parents about this, last week. I always go over to their house, and we sometimes talk politics, sometimes it's just too depressing. Um, but I was always saying, like, every job I had, when I worked in construction, when inflation would rise, my bosses were kind-hearted enough to say, "Okay, cost of living is going up, we're gonna give you a raise." They were kind enough to do that. So it makes sense to me, that mentality of desiring to, uh, not have your life affected by inflation by your bosses being able to do something. Now, I know your bosses take on that, and that's why it was very, very kind of my employers to do that. But then they're able to fork their prices up, and that's putting it on the end client. But that's kind of how the world goes around, and the buck stops with the people in charge. So there's got to be something done, and I think at the very least, this is just kind of blowing open the problems. It's like the cat is out of the bag. No, do you guys honestly? I don't know people who like Justin Trudeau. The people that I did know who voted for him and were always offended when I jab at him, they're even saying like we've had enough of this guy. They're even saying that. Do you guys know personally uh, anybody who thinks the Liberal government is doing a good job? I don't think they exist. Mike Mole says this is more political theater, just like the strikes in Ontario last fall. Vaccine protocols are being brought back, and that's a bigger item on the table than anything else, but not in the news. Yeah. JT will attach digital ID to their jobs. See? Uh, to me, in my gut, I sense this as a good thing. It might cause a little bit of pain, like I said, with those industries all affected. But some pain is good. Sometimes you need to feel that your leg is broken so that you can go and get it fixed. So I'm hoping that this pain will turn a lot of heads and be like, "All right, it's time to get rid of this nutcase seated on the throne." But, anyways, let me see if I have anything else, that I wanted to read. So that was the Reuters. Um, okay, sure, I'll read CP24. Let me make sure I share my screen with you guys. All right. Yeah, so CP24 Watch Live. Oh, somebody's calling me. Let me hang up just so we don't get any interference here. Um, Ottawa, more than 155,000 public servants are now on strike. Okay. Okay, no, I already read this. Sorry, guys. I already read that. That was just the list of the places. All right, cool. Let me close that and read Mike Mole's comment. The government puppets and union puppets will all follow the script. Same as always. The nurses' unions in the UK and unions in France are different, thank goodness. Something's got to give, right? Something's got to give. I'd like to believe that there are people that work for the government that hate a lot of the things that they're doing. And I'd like to believe a lot of them are a part of this strike. Because otherwise, that's a lot of corrupt people. Now, I know the top end main players that have a lot to gain and a lot to put in their pockets. There's a lot of question marks surrounding them. But for the people that are, they went to school and they enjoy the job that they do and they just trying to live a decent life. I can't fault them for that. At least in my opinion. So, anyways, so that's what's going on with that. I've just kind of been poking my nose in the news here and there, trying to get a download every single day. Sounds like it's still going on. They're still squeezing for that. So the article I read first was from a day ago, but that's all I got for that one, for that topic at least. All right, so next I want to talk about, and this is actually much like the federal strike, it's becoming old news, but the CBC labeling. I just thought it was so funny. Elon Musk. Elon Musk, what a guy. Let me bring this up. He's just the ultimate troll, which is just wonderful. So if you weren't paying attention, so this is archived by the Outlook. 69% government funded. Elon Musk jokes at CBC as more news outlets quit Twitter over labels. So the first thing that he updated on the CBC Twitter page was that they were 70%, or sorry, that they were government uh, funded. And CBC came at him and said that's actually not true. Blah 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 blah. We're actually below. No, and they gave the evidence of how much is relied on from the government versus the other type of funding that they get. And he said, okay, so he'll put 70% funded. And then they came back. It's actually below 70. So he put 69% funded government media. And that's how it is right now. And CBC is kind of stamping their feet and running away, which is it's just beautiful. 69% government funded media, the official CBC Twitter, bringing you the best of Canada. Now let me jump over to, I had posted the screenshot on my communities tab. Oh, I'm logged out. Give me a second, folks. I might have to use my other browser. Anyways, yeah, I won't do that. But essentially, they were just coming back saying we're real media. We're nonpartisan. We're reliable. Of course, when you have to come out and defend yourself, it's pretty funny. Usually, you get people that you trust to come out and advocate for you. You don't come out yourself, and I thought it was funny. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I saw, you always get the. I watch Tim Pool a lot. He was just laughing his butt off. It's just, yeah. Anyway. All right, let's close this up. I'm done with that. Yeah, I'm done with that. Sadly, there are still a significant number of sheeple willing to swallow the propaganda. Yeah, unfortunately, Ray. Just give me a second, guys. I just realized my Facebook feed is not public, so let me go change that. That's always a drag. For some reason, the default puts it on private. That means nobody can watch from Facebook. So give me a second while I edit that. And we're good. Let me go. Yeah, there we go. Public. So now we're good to go. Sorry about that. There we go. All right. So that was the CBC drama with Elon Musk. But now I want to share something with you guys that Mr. Mike Mole, you emailed me this last night, which I appreciate. It's a little bit of good news coming from the trucker protest. So let me bring that up. Let me just make sure that I'm not exposing your email address. Sorry if I do. All right, I think we're good to go. So this is, it's addressed to Marja. Our leader of the New Blue Party of Ontario, Jim Karahalios, has proven to be a champion for truth and justice time and time again. Most recently, we have been provided with yet another example of Jim's commitment to standing up against injustice, this time representing a true Canadian hero. For the last few months, Jim, in his capacity as a lawyer, has been representing Alan Remley. Now, apparently, Alan Remley, he faced multiple criminal charges for attending the trucker convoy protest in Ottawa. Imagine that. Alan Remley, known by friends as, I think that's Al, or maybe AI, I don't know. I think it's Al, is a father of 4, grandfather of 16, and a former pastor that now spends weeks every year volunteering overseas. As a result of Al attending the trucker convoy, he faced criminal charges that led to a 3-day trial in January that saw provincial Crown lawyers call multiple witnesses to the stand. But in the end, Al was found not guilty and acquitted of all charges. That's pretty cool. Huh? That's pretty cool. Click here to read a recent news article about the case. Let's do that. I like good news. Yeah, so Ottawa citizen police case against man accused of refilling jerry cans at convoy protest fizzles in court. So he was accused of refilling jerry cans. Wow. Imagine that. Throw that guy in prison. The Ottawa police investigation of a kid's wagon filled with jerry cans to fuel the convoy protest has fizzled in court after the accused was acquitted on all charges of mischief and police obstruction. Alan Remley, defended by Jim Karahalios, didn't call any evidence but was acquitted just the same. A decision by the Ontario Court Justice Heather Perkins McVeigh found that the Crown failed to prove its case. The judge noted the investigating officer took crummy notes and that Remley, a grandfather known by some for his charity work in Africa, was not afforded his right to legal counsel. Remley was accused by police of mischief for aiding and abetting the convoy protest by refilling jerry cans in what they called a mobile gas station at Kent and Nepean streets. The little kid's wagon investigation began on February 12th, 2022, after police officers were briefed that refilling jerry cans was outlawed and superiors said it amounted to mischief. Constable Jonathan Kenny was dispatched to investigate the Little Red Wagon. The way this sounds, the Little Red Wagon, the yellow brick road, it's all like a fairy tale to me. Gee, like bouncy castles. Like it's got that childish tone to it. Constable Jonathan Kenny was dispatched to investigate the Little Red Wagon around 11 a.m. on the same day. The Ottawa police officer was responding to the call in a rented minivan because the city police department didn't have any available cruisers. On February 12th, 2022, there were still no orders for protesters to leave as the Emergencies Act wasn't triggered until days later. The trial revealed plenty of details about the protest, including the police actually directed the truckers to Wellington only to have it later blocked. Kenny testified that Nepean Street was still open for travel and that Bank Street was surprisingly open. Sergeant Luis Carvalho testified that convoy trucks were directed by Ottawa police to Wellington. When Kenny testified at trial, he initially said he saw jerry cans on a kid's wagon near Remley's truck, but couldn't say exactly where. He later testified the Little Red Wagon was about 10 feet away from the accused's truck. The constable said there were no horns blasting, but he could hear the sound of generators and truck engines. He never actually saw the grandfather refilling any jerry cans and described Remley as cordial, polite, and pleasantly defiant. The police investigation about the Little Red Wagon was deemed so dangerous that Ottawa police officers retreated because they were outnumbered and surrounded. Let me read that again. The police investigation about the Little Red Wagon was deemed so dangerous that Ottawa police officers retreated because they were outnumbered and surrounded, with bystanders telling Kenny to leave the grandfather alone. They yelled out that he was a patriot. Kenny also told court that Remley never incited the crowd or interacted with them in any way. Still, the officer asked for Remley's driver's license. He told court he had to abandon his investigation because they were outnumbered by people who he said didn't appear to be leaving anytime soon. The investigation was not worth it, the officer testified. He didn't want to be a powder keg, so he retreated and told Remley that he would face mischief charges down the road. The officer was asked in court what grounds he had to ask for the accused's license. The officer answered, now I'm not sure I had authority. At the time, I thought I had authority under the Highway Traffic Act, but now I think I didn't. I asked for the identification to continue my investigation. It was an error on my part. Yeah, there's a lot of errors going on. Now, what I hope, I'll take a pause here for a second. What I hope is happening as these, I think we're going to hear a lot more of these cases come out where just, your protocol wasn't followed. The laws weren't followed. I hope there's a lot more police officers researching the actual rights they have, including you swear an oath to protect the charter, which we don't even need to get into. A lot of these authoritarian missteps or oversteps of our charter, they had every right to stand against because that's what they swear an oath to. And I think a lot of police officers, and it's no disrespect because I do know some police officers, I think they can do better at understanding their rights, understanding it inside and out. Know it like your playbook, right? You're a quarterback. Learn the plays, because I think the overall tone and vibe I get from current police officers that maybe it's no fault of their own, but they're there just to enforce the rules. They don't really understand them. They're not there to argue them. They're just there to enforce what their higher ups tell them. But I'm saying, excuse me, I'm saying just as a citizen, do yourself a favor. If you want to make your work mean something, and you would gain tremendous respect from your citizens if you understood your rights inside and out. That's all I'm saying. So let me take a break here. Read your guys' comments. Mike Mole says, Marja is my loving wife. It's a Dutch J, so the pronunciation is ja. So Marja. Okay, cool. Right on. Unfortunately, the Crown has appealed the ruling, which is almost unheard of. They just won't stop using the public's money to punish people through the process. I wish we weren't a part of the Crown. How can we cut them off? How can we just sever that tie? Lynn B says, everything done by the Grand Turd is childish. He can't help himself. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Roger Languille says, 30 billion to foreign-owned car companies while our military is pretty much non-existent. Well, that's because we have big brother Joe Biden to stand up for us if we ever get into a pickle. But you guys have seen the state of their military. They're a laughingstock on the world stage. Nobody's scared of them anymore. Putin and what's his name? Xi Jinping. What's his full name? Li Jinping, China guy. They're shaking hands and laughing at us. I think they're smart enough to know they don't even have to drop a bomb on us. They just tinker with our economy and we just go kaput. Roger Languille says, we have no ammunition for the military. We do have and no capacity to produce it or any of the equipment our military needs. Yeah. Oh, the little red wagon. Yeah. Same priorities as always. Corrupt money to them. Yeah, Xi Jinping. Thank you. I know it rhymed with a ping. Ping. Roger Languille says, America has gotten their military contractors. There's only 5 major contractors left. They can't supply themselves, let alone anyone else. It's 13 years for us to get the airplanes they ordered. Yeah, it's a sad state. It's a sad United States. But so that's the question. Where's the hope? What kind of things can we look forward to? What do you guys think? To me, well, I'm a spiritual man, so I think God is going to move in ways that we're just going to be like, wow, cool. Thank you, God. But what do you guys think in terms of what's going on in the world? What kind of things are you hoping will happen? Do you have any, I guess, what's your download with the worker strike? Do you think that'll strike a chord with a lot of people? That's my gut feeling. That's my gut feeling. Mike Mole says the enforcement is not black and white. The ones following orders are the problem, but the numbers are dwindling. Same with the judiciary. Yeah, Mike Mole, you are a big advocate for getting on the streets and waving that flag. That's why I respect you, sir. And you're consistent too. You're out there doing that, and I have deep appreciation for that. I think you're right in saying that it's time that people, and I don't like saying rise up, because that can be taken the wrong way. That can be taken the wrong way. But I think it's time people start locking arms. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Start locking arms and start having real conversations about the reality in front of us, because it's getting hard to deny just the atrocity that the Trudeau government has become. I don't think too many people are denying that anymore. So I think you're absolutely right. And maybe, and this is what I've always advocated for, is creating a space where people can come in and shake hands. Like, you might even disagree at first, but if you create a space that's welcoming and inviting for people to not think that you're some sort of crazy person, I think a lot more people would stand with us. That's what I always did when I was essentially doing exactly what you were doing, Mike, and I did that for about 7 months until it came time to run for well, I didn't run for city council, but I was the campaign manager, so I put all my attention into that. But I constantly created space. I had a giant sign saying, "Are you curious about why we're here? Come have a conversation." It said, "Come chat." My big sign said that. And it wasn't a very busy table. Not a lot of people came. There was a few people. There was actually one of the most memorable ones was a young man. He was about 20. I think he said he was 20 years old. And he said, he was pretty shy. He's just, I'm just curious, why you guys are here. And I mean, I just think back to when I was 20 years old. I didn't understand politics. I didn't know what was going on. I was old enough to vote, but I only voted for who my parents voted for because I trusted them. But so this young man that came up, and I started talking to him about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, just because I felt like the Charter of Rights and Freedoms was this uniting document that we could all agree with. If I kind of I showed him just the basic Section 1 argument, how the government had a specific set of criteria to follow and they didn't. And his eyes wide, and he was just like, "Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize they weren't supposed to do that." And I mean, we'd have the hostile ones. I had one woman just come and scream at me and walk away. I was just like, "You sure you don't want to talk?" She shot me the finger and walked away. That was, whatever. And then there was a yelling gentleman, which, by the way, looking back at it, I was, you recontemplate things, because I was standing on one side of the road and there was an older gentleman. Now, not super old. He was probably mid-60s. And he's waving an F Trudeau flag. Now, I didn't realize it was an F Trudeau flag, but the design on his flag was half American and half Canadian. And so this other guy, this guy not a part of our protest, comes walking down the street screaming and F-bombing and shooting him, double barreling him. And in my head, it made me angry because first of all, I was like, well, this is a younger guy going after an old guy. That's kind of where my I don't even want to call it rage. That's where my attitude came in, saying that's not right. So I walked over, and anybody that knows me, it's like I struggle to get angry. I'm super nice, even though like inside me, it's just like, club this guy. But I was super nice to him, and I'm pretty tall too. I'm 6'4", and I get in this guy's face, and he's like stuttering, stammering. He's like, whoa. And then he explained, "Oh, well, it's because he's got the F Trudeau flag." And in my head, it's like, well, this is going on in my head. I wouldn't fly the F Trudeau flag. I never thought those were fruitful flags to begin with, but I do understand this guy's anger. I do understand people wanting to express that. But anyway, I was able to sit that guy. We walked further down the street because the traffic was noisy. I said, "Come on over here." And the entire interaction, I didn't realize someone was filming me. A buddy of mine had come across and he was filming me from behind. That video, I think, has since been deleted because that was before I had to do a YouTube scrub. Because when the Emergencies Act went, there was YouTubers getting weird phone calls from government officials saying to remove your content from the Ottawa protest. And so I was actually contacted by Mr. Sunshine Baby. He said, "Listen, if you got a family, you should delete your content." So he did it. He scrubbed his stuff. I scrubbed my stuff, and that went with it. So, yeah. Yeah. Firefly says, "Throwback story time." Yeah, you remember. You were there. Firefly's been with me since the start. Roger Langiel says, "Get to them. Wall Street did." Yeah. Mike Mole says, "The truth is coming out in a big way. The 9/11 lies are a prime example. God is at work through each of us." That's right. That's right. That's right. We got to walk in our convictions, right? What we know is right. And also there's a lot of humility as a part of that. I have to learn that as well. As I have to admit when I'm wrong, because sometimes I go too far down the we'll call it conspiracy trail. And I turned out, to be wrong. So I have to admit that. And that's part of the humility and being truthful. But you're right. I 100% believe that, Mike. 100%. Lynn B says, I'm getting ratioed on Twitter for saying that the PSAC protesters should be treated exactly equal to the trucker protesters last year. See, well, a few months ago, me and Brooke, we went down to just here in Sarnia and supported the QP protests. Now, I didn't understand the nitty-gritties of what they were asking for. It wasn't a matter of did I agree with them or were they asking for too much. It was very simple for me. They were peacefully protesting, and I support peaceful protest and the right of peaceful dissent. So we went there to support that, to say, yeah, you know what? You guys have that right in the charter. We're here to support you. And I think that's important to set that tone, set that example, because that's what I want them to do to me. I know they didn't. I know they didn't have my back when I went to protest for my own rights. So I just want to make sure I'm consistent. It doesn't matter how I was treated. I don't have to treat them the way they treated me. That's not how I roll. You got to be the bigger person sometimes, I feel. Roger Lengiel says, but Trudeau wants to strike. Most of the payroll is gone. There's nothing left. Right? There's nothing left. Wages go up. They print more money. Our groceries get more expensive. You know what? You know what's probably going on in Trudeau's head right now? He's probably thinking, oh, well, it'll tank the dollar and we can make an easy transition over to digital ID and digital currency. That's probably what he's thinking. He's probably hoping that it tanks. He's got the right people in his ear saying, you know what, just wait a little bit longer. That's how I imagine Klaus Schwab sounds. Well, no, I actually know how he sounds. He kind of sounds like this. I can't do a Switzerland accent. I can't do it. I'm terrible at whatever where is he from? Switzerland? Yeah. That's when they shut down all social media. Let me go back up here. Sorry. Denying the truth is going to become increasingly difficult, not only about current issues, but about the origins of the corruption going back hundreds, thousands of years. I think you're right. It's in your face. It's in your face. Exactly. Legal, peaceful protest. Yeah. I saw Brooke at this QP protest. He wasn't wearing a mask. Very scary. Man, maybe I shouldn't even get into it, but I still see people wearing double masks. What? I didn't understand it during the pandemic. But what's going on? What's going on with that, folks? What are you doing? Lynn B says, except PSAC is threatening to block ports and disrupt Canada's critical infrastructure. Is that right? I didn't know that. I hope they do. I hope they do. So that we can observe the response. Will they use the same powers against their own? Is that what you're asking, Lynn B? That'll be curious. That'll be interesting. I hadn't heard of that. So that's good. So how will they do that? In their cars? Because it's not like they don't exactly have these big trucks like we used. Will they use school buses? No, it's federal workers. It's not schools. It's, I guess city buses. You know about that, Mike Mole. Will they use city buses? I don't know, but that'd be interesting. Lynn B says, that's what Turd accused the truckers of last year. That's grounds for the Emergencies Act. No? There you go. That's a great point, Lynn B. That's a great point. I bet he'll meet with them. And won't give them what they want, but at least he'll hear their voice so that they go off the overpasses and bridges and critical infrastructure, which is what he should have done with the truckers. So that's an interesting point, Lynn. Thank you. Roger says, post-nation state is still his priority. Masked sheep. Bah! Yeah, well, listen. People can do what they want. I just feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them. Now, most people, maybe some people think they're protecting others, but I think the ones who are still doing it, they're still scared. They're still scared because the majority of people have gotten rid of them. I hardly see masks anymore. I do see them. I saw someone driving alone with one again just the other day. So there's still some fear. But that's the crazy powerful thing about fear, right? It doesn't quite go away too fast. Len B says, I don't know what their plans are for blocking. They didn't extrapolate. Yeah, I'm definitely curious. Making exactly that point is why I'm getting ratioed on Twitter. Listen, am I older than you? Because I don't know what ratioed mean. Is that some new lingo people are using? What does ratioed mean? Like, I know what it means in general, but is it like some sort of urban talk? Are you getting more hip than me, Lynn B? Firefly says, I see them on transit a lot. Oh, riding the bus, eh? Yeah, it's been years since I rode a bus. So I imagine, yeah, people being in fear of, sitting across from one another. Now, I mean, even before COVID, people wore masks. Like right now, there's a strep throat going around. My son just had the strep throat last week. He just got over it. But that was pretty normal. So I guess I shouldn't assume that everybody's living in fear. Maybe it's just a different reason that they're wearing it. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. PSAC threatens to escalate strike. There's a link, Globe and Mail. Mike Mull says the various levels of government are changing protest legislation so much recently, it's unbelievable. The real question is, will they have enforcement? Yeah, you're right, Roger. He says the whole point of fear-mongering is so that they are always afraid. Yep. Ratioed, verbally attacked and denounced. I learn something new every day. Ratio of positive comments to negative comments. So it basically means what ratioed means. It's not urban. It's not this hip talk. Cool. I just want to make sure that Lynn wasn't cooler than me. Anyway, Firefly says, before COVID, people didn't get up and move if you sneeze. That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Well, guys, thank you so much. This is all I have to talk about. I know it's not quite an hour yet, but I do have things I would love to get done today. So I'll probably jump out right now. So thank you guys for being in the comments. Appreciate you guys download. Oh, Lynn's here saying, of course, I'm cooler than you, at least in the minds of, of my fur kids, her cats. Yeah. Well, you know what? Whatever. Whatever. All right. See you all. Thank you guys so much. Be on the lookout. I try to post some little clips of this stream on my YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for that. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And yeah, there's one more comment here from a couple more comments. JS Neal, maybe people are wearing the mask to remind people how the government took our freedom away. I don't know. That's a strange way to do it. You should wave a flag like Mike Mull's doing. That's a good way to remind them. Thank you for contributing, JS. Appreciate you. Firefly says later, you're doing awesome, Brandon. Well, thank you. That's encouraging. Yeah, we definitely need to encourage one another. I was watching a Glenn Beck video of him just ranting. He's like, I'm through with this. I'm tired of, holding up my, my people accountable, people in government, and nothing ever being done about it. He said, there's just this frustration we have of continually showing the facts, showing how people are guilty and nothing ever happening, which I totally get. I totally it kind of hit home for me. I was just like, it gets mentally so tiring when it feels like you're not getting an inch forward. But I think, and what Mike has kind of brought to the channel, and sorry to put you on the spot all the time, Mike, but I really love the way, you go about things. You always seem to have a good attitude and a good outlook, and you try to see the positive next step forward, in what's happening and what we can do, and how to digest these headlines that we see, as the weeks go on. So I appreciate you, appreciate your outlook, and I think that's what's important. That's what will keep our sanity, and that's what will kind of feed our inspiration to keep going and keep doing the right thing, and keep holding our people accountable. So I appreciate that comment. Limby says, "Later, all. See you next Monday. See you later." Ooh, Tucker Carlson is gone from Fox News. No, fired. No way. He's the only reason I watched Fox. Oh man, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find that out soon. Woo! I bet their ratings are just gonna tank. Who wants to bet that? I'll bet you a slice of cheesecake. How about that? If you ever come to Sarnia, I owe you a slice of keto caramel cheesecake. All right. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye for now.